time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State Campus, is brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, compassion, all right here. Adams Brown, strategic allies and CPAs, going above and beyond for you. BTI, your John Deere dealer with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. The Taco Shop, dine in, carry out, or delivery. Since 1970, you've never had it so good. And Eagle, our community connected. Tiger Talk with the voice of the Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock.
And a good afternoon, and welcome to Tiger Talk. Happy New Year, our first program of 2024. Glad to have you with us as we talk some Fort Hays State athletics. We'll be talking men's wrestling and men's and women's basketball here on the program. Eric Wintz will join us here in just a little bit. Talia Cars for the head coach of the Tiger women, and we'll get associate head coach Jeremy Brown of the Tiger men's team with us a little bit later on in the program. Certainly glad to have you a part of it. And again, we'd remind you, you can join us in person by joining Tiger Club. It's simple. Your Tiger Club fee goes towards scholarships for Fort Hays State athletics. And then buy your meal here on Wednesday and join us for the program. A lot of great camaraderie, a lot of great food, a lot of great fun here on Tiger Talk. But certainly appreciate everybody tuning in today as well. You can send us a question. Go to the Fort Hays State Athletics website. Click on the Fans tab. You'll get the drop-down menu. And you can submit your question on Ask the Coach. And, of course, if we use it, you'll have a chance to get yourself a T-shirt from Fort Hays State Athletics. So we'd obviously love to hear from you for any of the coaches during the program. And everybody here, you have the pads at the table. You can submit a question there as well. Again, we'll talk some basketball a little bit later on in the program, but right now we're going to talk wrestling. Head coach Eric Wintz joining us. Haven't had any competition since the last time we talked to Coach before the holiday break, but gearing up out to head west to San Francisco. They'll take on Colorado School of Mines on Friday, San Francisco State on Friday as well, I guess off and running here in 2024. I know we talked before we had the break about wrestling and the challenges of stepping away from training, heading home. Mom's good cooking, grandma's good cooking, whatever it may be. So I guess the million-dollar question: how'd you guys come back? Were they in good shape? And some guys have to cut some weight.
Yeah, we came back and guys looked pretty good. We had the usual suspects, who like to eat when they go home. So, we've been working out since New Year's Day. We came back, had a 6 p.m. workout, and so we got the rod out on the first night. Put him through about an hour and a half meat grinder at 6 p.m. on the first. So, Happy New Year, guys. But yeah, they've looked good. Been pretty pleased. We got some guys coming back that we didn't have for most of the first semester. We got Case and Lindsay coming back, so he's looking good. He's pretty much 100% ready to rock and roll. And we look good coming off of the Midwest Classic, and I think we're on the upswing.
As we talked about there, you're happy with the performance. You had some guys really step up and just felt that was a good momentum builder going into the break. And then you may talk about some of those guys who didn't have that first semester, what that's going to mean for this squad now as you kind of get into that dual mode until the postseason.
Yeah, college wrestling is just one of those where bumps and bruises can really set you back because you don't want to wrestle high-level competition when you're not 100%, or at least as close to 100% as you can get. We tell our guys you're never going to be 100% in this sport. If you're wrestling at 100%, the way you feel, then maybe you haven't been training hard enough, or we're not wrestling tough enough competition. So, so we're getting Case and Lindsay back at 157. He wrestled the very first duel against New Mexico Highlands, got a pretty good knee sprain, MCL sprain, but he's back. He's ready to rock and roll. He probably could have gone to the Midwest Classic, but we figured let's hold out and make sure we're ready to go for this second half and for the dual meet season, because these are some big matchups for regional seedings and rankings and things like that. So he's a big one. Marcel Deli, our Hungarian guy at 149, he missed a good portion of first semester, but then had a really good showing at the Midwest Classic against probably two of the best guys in the weight class, including the number one guy in the country that he should have won. But getting him back and getting Terrius Henry back into the groove, he looked really good at Midwest Classic. DeAndre Brown, 125, had a really good performance. Lost a couple tough ones to and eventually some guys who are ranked in the top 10 at this point now. Those guys are really on the upswing, and I think I think us being so young and competing at that high level at that tournament, because I think we were looking at it, 6 of my 10 guys were first-year guys that were competing at that event. So we do have a young lineup, but they're looking pretty good, and they're all feeling good. So we're looking forward to these two duels coming up on Friday.
Well, and that's where the break, I'm sure, comes in at a good time, because I know we talk basketball is a grueling, grinding. It goes a long time over the calendar year. Wrestling's in that same boat. So to get that break and just to get some wear and tear off the body and mend, as you say, so vitally important.
Oh yeah, because you get those little boo-boos that you want to get. That really the only thing that can get them better is rest. Get some time with off your feet. Doing some rehab, doing some treatment, and not practicing every day and grinding through practice. For that whole break. So we made sure guys actually took time off during that time and let their bodies heal up, and because this second half is very important, so we want to make sure we come in as healthy as possible. So
Terrius moving up in the polls. He had the latest polls came out before the Christmas break. He moved up a little bit in the national rankings, and not surprised after the good performance he had at the national duels.
Yeah. He started the season, I believe he was maybe the 3 or the 4,
something like that.
And and like I said, we were wrestling tough competition right out of the gate, and if you're in a little bit of a funk mentally, you struggle sometimes. And he had some ups and downs. There were times where he looked awesome. There were times where he didn't look awesome. But that's the nature of the sport and the nature of college athletics, where any given day you never know what can happen. So but when he was ready to go at the Midwest Classic, he really turned it on, and was a little more conservative, but he was finding ways to beat those guys that he really struggled with, those kind of wrestlers early in the season. And so him almost pulling out the finals match against the number 2 ranked guy in the country, that definitely upped his stock a little bit in the rankings. But like we say every day, it's all practice up until the national tournament. So rankings, it's great, but we got to learn from what we're doing each time we step out there.
Now the Tigers are back, and now they're ready to hit the road again. They'll be heading out west to San Francisco Friday. Couple of duels: Colorado School of Mines and San Francisco State. Talk about the trip a little bit. You went to Indianapolis. You drove up there, spent some time. This will be a little bit different heading out west to San Francisco.
Yep. We this would be some of these guys, it's the first time they've flown, so it's gonna be interesting. But we're getting on a plane tomorrow afternoon out of Denver at 2:30. We'll get in relatively early in a straight direct flight to San Francisco. We'll get off the plane, check into the hotel, relax a little bit, probably get a little workout in, get that flight out, get guys' weights down a little bit, and then we'll get another workout in probably in the morning. The morning of the 5th, and then we weigh in, I believe, at 1 o'clock local time. And we wrestle, I believe, at 3 o'clock their time against Colorado School of Mines, and that's always a good one. Those are usually pretty heated. They're a tough team, very well coached, and they do a lot of scrambling. So we've been working on that, and then we follow that right after that. We take on San Francisco State, and they're another team that we don't see a whole lot. So you never know what you're going to get when you wrestle those guys sometimes, because California, they get a lot of those in-state guys that don't have many opportunities to go Division I or anything else. So the only other option is college JUCO in California. So they've got some tough guys that are really squirrely, and so we got to wrestle really clean wrestling to avoid some of the kind of off the wall stuff they do. Their head coach was a national champ for Northwestern a few years ago, and he did it by being very unorthodox, and his guys wrestle very similar to the way he wrestled.
It's good to ask you about that. We talked a little bit about this, I think, earlier in the year. Different regions of the country, maybe philosophies and how they go about it a little bit different. Colorado School of Mines, you faced them a lot in the past, but San Francisco State, Do they go about it differently? Is there a lot of difference in style, and what will you see in those two matches on Friday?
Yeah, those California guys are a lot more wide open. They don't like to hand fight a lot much. They don't like having hands on you. They like being, because a lot of those guys are very athletic, and so they're quick. So they like to wrestle from open, and don't be real physical with you. But so we got to put our hands on them and slow them down a little bit and get them into our style of wrestling and get them uncomfortable. Because if we let them wrestle from the open and like I tell my guys, you can't let guys get weird. You got to finish your attacks clean, and because they'll start grabbing ankles and rolling around, and we don't want to be in that situation. So that's kind of what we've been working on. And mine's is tough on top. They're gonna throw a leg and a power half on you and try to crank on you, and they do some weird things on their feet. So we again very similar style of wrestling to that California group. So we really been working hard on how to minimize our mistakes to make sure we can avoid those situations.
It kind of sounds whoever can kind of impose their will or their style is going to have a leg up, literally, to try to win this thing.
Yep. That's exactly how it's going to go. So we got to have the right mentality going in, and we got to shut them down, and we got to wrestle our match.
Any key matches, any key matchups that we should all be keeping an eye on?
Man, all of them, because these are big for regional seedings. So we haven't seen many of these guys. We saw a Colorado School of Mines at the Carnegie tournament, and they were at the Midwest Classic. They finished a couple slots ahead of us, had a couple guys placed, kind of like we did. They didn't have any finalists, but they had some guys placed down low. But they had 3 or 4 guys wrestling on day 2 up there that are pretty tough. So definitely beatable. So you just got to make sure again that we wrestle our style.
We talk about this with basketball. You have the break for Christmas, and then you get back, and it seems like you get started, and then it flies by. It goes quick. You get a little bit of break when you get back, but it's pretty much you're going at it pretty consistently after that, and all these duels will be very, very important.
Yep, very important for regional seedings and national rankings and placement if you get to the national tournament as far as seeding when you get there. So,
all right, sounds good. Well, have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Enjoy San Francisco, and hopefully a couple of nice victories for us to talk about when we chat with you next week.
That's the hope.
There you go. That is Eric Wentz, the head wrestling coach at Fort Hays State University. Again, 3 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock our time, Colorado School of Mines on Friday. And then around 8 o'clock Central Time, the duel with San Francisco State. Both of those will be on the RMAC network, and there is a link on the Fort Hays State Athletics website if you want to watch the wrestling live streamed from San Francisco. Tigers Talk brought to you in part today by BTI. They're your John Deere dealer. They've got locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family, in partnership with your family. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some women's basketball. Head coach Talia Kars joins us next. This is Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC. Donica bobbles the pass, but got it back, and she banked it in. Clary Donica with 9 first quarter points, and Fort Hays State up by 4 again, 13-9. That was some of the action from, what day was that? Saturday. Fort Hays State women were back at it, wrapping up their non-conference schedule, taking on Bethany College. Got a big win over the Fighting Swedes, and now they'll get back to MIAA play the rest of the year. A big one coming up tomorrow night with Central Missouri. We'll preview the Jennies and Lincoln, who's in town on Saturday. Need to remind you, the Kansas Department of Transportation and the Drive to Zero Coalition invite you to join Tiger fans with a plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. We are joined by head coach Talia Kars of the Fort Hays State women, the 10th ranked Fort Hays State women. They moved up 6 spots in the Division II coaches poll this week. Picked up the victory over Bethany. Congratulations. And I know we talked on the show before we took a little break for the holidays. Kind of mixed feelings because your team was playing so well. but the grind, the break probably came at a good time for everybody to kind of get away from it for a while. And because, boy, as we said, once you hit January, your games pile up, and it's just a go, 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 go. But a well-deserved break by your team, and then it came back and played well and got a nice victory on the last Saturday against Bethany.
Yeah, apparently everybody thought Bethany was really good since we jumped up 6 spots on the polls.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess. No, girls needed a break. We all needed a break from each other. Our bodies needed a break, and we got after it last week a little bit and got prepared for Bethany. And then this week it's a tough game tomorrow, so we're preparing for that.
How do you handle break? And I know the schedule dictates maybe how much time they get off, but the mandated week off in Division II, which is a really neat thing that everybody has to take that time off. How much did they get off, and then to get back in the rhythm? How do you go about that once they do return to campus before that first game back?
Yeah, the nice part about the kids that we have is everybody's able to drive home, which is an advantage, I think, because you don't have to worry about flights and that sort of thing. And then so we for sure had 7 days off, and then I gave them till that evening of the day that we practiced. So everybody was able to leave that morning, so they got an extra night at home, and then they came up that day and we practiced that evening. And then last week we only did one practice a day, but we got in the weight room a couple times. And then this week on Monday, we had more time because the men were off, so we did a 2-a-day on Monday. But getting after it, getting up and down the floor, trying to get back in shape a little bit, and then work some kinks out offensively and change some things up a little bit defensively too.
Yeah, I guess that's the one thing it does, because you're going to play tomorrow, and then it's pretty steady Thursday, Saturday, minus the Kearney week when you play just one time. And there's really not a lot of time to change other than minor tweaks. And with the break like it is, you got time to maybe look over some things, evaluate what you like, what you dislike. You bring them back, and yeah, you had the game, but you've got some time here to maybe, whatever it may be, to do some changing and tweaking of how you want to go about things.
Yeah, I think we're continuing just to evolve and figure out, okay, what are we doing well? What can we get better at? And the girls do a good job of adjusting and kind of giving their opinion, too, about what they feel like is working well and what they like, and things that they can kind of see that I don't see necessarily on the floor. And so getting together with that and evaluating that and continuing to change those things, too.
All right, I guess the next question, what have you liked and what have you not liked? What are those areas you're trying to improve on, or maybe you continue to do well, if not better?
Yeah, so Saturday we really were trying to defensively be really aggressive on ball screens and be really big, and trying to make them change direction a little bit. So we're looking at that. We're looking at some other things defensively. We try to get up full court a little bit more, playing different lineups that way and seeing what that looks like. And then offensively, just continuing to figure out how different people can score, how we can get a lot of people with their hands on the ball, and if the ball's going in the net for somebody, figuring out how we can get them another basket.
And you mentioned the full court press. I mean, you've shown it at times this year, and I know that's kind of been a work in progress, but it seems like it's slowly getting better. I know you had some of the younger kids in there doing it a little bit against Bethany. Is that an area you think you can maybe utilize a little bit more as the season rolls along?
Yeah, it all depends on the team. So
right.
As I evaluated
Absolutely.
at the beginning of the year, I'm like, okay, can we press Central Missouri? Can we press Missouri Western? If I feel like we have that advantage against those really good teams, then I think it's worth working on. If it's something we're only going to work on and it's the teams that we have a pretty good chance at potentially beating anyway, is it worth working on? So I think it's something that is an advantage, trying to get their hands, different people with their hands on the ball versus their point guard. So specifically tomorrow, really trying to get number one's hand not on the ball as much,
yeah.
Or being really aware of when she has the ball in her hands, everybody else is paying attention to that because she's just a really good scorer. So that's something that we'll look at a little bit tomorrow, especially is changing that up a little bit and seeing what we can do with it.
Of course, tomorrow Tigers taking on Central Missouri. We'll talk more about the ball game with Bethany here in just a little bit, but first let's go ahead and pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network.
With a combination of Kaiser Liquor and Fort Hays State Athletics, you're sure to be into something good. Kaiser Liquor and 14 KEYS Hayes.
Welcome back to Tiger Talk. We're inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State campus, part of Tiger Club. Certainly glad to have you with us here for our first program of 2024. Wishing everybody a happy new year. Tiger men and women's basketball at home tomorrow night against Central Missouri. A couple of big ball games. Fort Hays State women coming off a 75-41 win over Bethany. Maybe a little bit misleading score. They gave you a pretty good run, and they're traditionally a pretty good program. Have some good players, and it took you kind of a while to get in sync offensively, and then you kind of pulled away in that second half. But I guess maybe that wasn't a bad thing to get pushed a little bit on that first game out of the break. Yeah, no, their guards do a great job defensively. I think the size at the guard spot was pretty even. Mm-hmm. They did a good job of getting in us and making every pass really tough. We had to work to get the ball in on the wings. So I think they did that really well. Number one is the returning KCAC Defensive Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was really good for our guards to just really be physical and be tough and have to do something and work on offense. Yeah, you've talked a lot about the offense. This team defensively, and I know we've touched on it a little bit, has become really, really good, and you can kind of tell they've really bought into it. They take pride in that, and that's been a big factor for the good start you have on, is how you guys have locked down. And it hasn't always been pretty, but they seem to really make good adjustments as the game goes along, and from game to game and what they need to do to be good on that side of the floor. Yeah, I think we continue to prepare pre-game, what that looks like, who we're guarding, how we want to guard. But part of it comes back to the kids have been playing together for a long time. Mm-hmm. So several years. So they start to figure out, okay, she does this well, I can let her do this, or she doesn't do this well, I need to cover her back on this. So I think that's part of it, is that they've played together for so long that they know what each other's really good at and what each other maybe need a little help with. And then we're continuing just as a team to rotate a little bit better, understand, okay, she's really somebody we really need to focus in on when she has the ball. We all need to be aware of that so we can all kind of rotate. And then I think the other thing defensively we're doing way better at is rebounding. Yeah. And so we're making sure that we're getting them one chance, and the one chance is a really hard shot, and hopefully they're going to miss it, and then we're going to go the other way. You had 55 rebounds against Bethany, 22 on the offensive glass. You outscored them 20-0 in second chance points. And you had size in there, but that hasn't always been the case, and probably the reason you're rebounding better, Olivia Hollenbeck is rebounding better. She had a double-double, 15 points, 10 boards. I know she didn't think she played well because she shot 4 of 16, but you look at the rest of her line, 3 steals, 10 rebounds. Sometimes a lot's put into scoring, obviously, and shooting, but she's doing all those other things so much better, and one of them has been rebounding. Yeah, no, she got asked to get interviewed on the radio the other day, and she was so frustrated. She's like, why did they pick me? Because she thought she played so bad, and she didn't. And she didn't allow the lack of getting the ball in the basket affect the rest of her game, and so I was really proud of her for that. And she really, I mean, it wasn't super physical for her on the rebounding, but she really went up and got rebounds the other day, especially when she wasn't making every shot that she was taking. But she was taking really good shots too. She just wasn't making them. So I was really proud of her for changing what she was doing and making not scoring not be her thing, and realizing, I mean, she had a double-double, and I had no idea she had a double-double at the end of the game, and it was quiet, but she worked really, really hard. Yeah, it's kind of snuck up on us as well. Another player, Clary Donica, when things were struggling offensively, I think she scored 8 or 7, 9, maybe straight in that first quarter to kind of get you over the hump and get you that lead, and she's had moments like that and really stepped up. Yeah, no, she's physical. You don't ever question her physicality when she gets in the game, and so if we can get her the ball really close to the basket, she's going to do a good job of making a good move. And I mean, anybody has a hard time guarding her because she's so strong. So when we can get her the ball where she can score it, and it's almost an automatic bucket. And you got Telexa Weeder in for a little over 7 minutes. Landon Forbes got to play 7 minutes. Some of those other players who maybe don't play as much get a good chance to watch them and let them get some quality playing time. You've been happy with their development. I mean, I know you've moved Telexa around a little bit and feel confident where you have her playing now, but always good to see them out there and get that playing time to improve them, because, obviously their day's coming. Yep. No, physically, still working on them physically, but mentally they're starting to really get it figured out, especially on the offensive end. They're working really good with each other and with their teammates, and Landon getting the ball where she needs it to go, and understanding the type of pass she can make at this level versus high school. And then defensively, Landon just does a really good job of being aggressive with the ball on the ball. And Telexa's defensively starting to get it figured out, but Telexa's always just a great rebounder. Mm-hmm. So she's in there. She's going to get a board every time. Well, they got some good playing time. Tigers got a nice win over Bethany, 75-41. Now it's MIAA play the rest of the way, and a rather large one tomorrow. They all count the same, but sometimes they feel like there's a little more weight on it. Tomorrow will certainly be one as Central Missouri comes to town. We'll preview the Jennies, take a little peek at Lincoln as well on Saturday. Right now, though, we're going to take a break and be back with more with head coach Talia Kars here on Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
The Golden Q is the place for football and food. Friday night, when your team is out of town, stop in for your favorite burger and watch the game, plus catch every NFL game with the NFL Sunday Ticket. Want to enjoy the game from home, but still eat the Golden Q's tasty food? Use their app to place an order to go or use DoorDash. Then when it's time to blow off some steam, head to the Fort, duck pin, bowling, axe throwing, VR, and check out their huge outdoor patio. Book a party room for your group or host a large gathering at the Fort. The Golden Q and the Fort in Hayes.
Tigers by 10 with the basketball. Ernie, left wing Levy, foul line Salek, underneath the Katie, and she hits the layup. That was a beautifully drawn up play into that timeout, and the Tigers score to go up a dozen with 39 seconds to go. Yeah, with some of the action on Saturday as the Tigers knocked off Bethany College. Now they gear up for a big one tomorrow night with the Jennies of Central Missouri. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. It's brought to you in part by the HaysMed Orthopedic Institute, the most comprehensive orthopedic care in Western Kansas. You can learn more at haysmed.com/orthopedics. We're chatting with women's coach Talia Kars, the Tigers, and Central Missouri. Top 11 showdown. Fort Hays State up to number 10. Central Missouri at number 11 this week in the latest Division II national polls. They ended your season last year. Just a great game. Unfortunately, you came up short in overtime in the MIAA tournament. You've met them in the NCAA tournament. I mean, you've had just obviously two of the premier programs in the MIAA. You've met in some big games, and I know we talk about it. They all count the same, but there are some games that just are a little bit bigger than others, and certainly tomorrow night would qualify for that.
It definitely does. Nope, we definitely have had our cases each other of ending each other's seasons throughout the years, and yeah, it's always a big game. It's something that I could honestly probably not do a scouting report for them because our girls know them so well. They know their tendencies. They know how they want to guard them. They know, we've prepared for them 2 or 3 times every year, maybe 4 times sometimes, and so yeah, we know kind of what we're getting and how we need to play, and it comes down to who's going to be the better team tomorrow.
And it seemed like they find a way to come down to the end. There's been very few that have been lopsided either way. Dave Slifer, veteran head coach, been there a long time. I would imagine not a lot has changed because he's got a lot back from what he had last season.
Yep, nope, they're pretty much the exact same team. Point guard does a great job. Their 4-man is one of the best players in the league, so is their point guard, and then their 5-man do a good job too, as well as their guards. So they've got a solid team back. We're pretty much seeing the same team we saw last year.
You mentioned Nelson, a really good distributor, just a really good point guard. Maybe at times tends to turn it over a little bit, especially if you can put some pressure on her. And they look like they're maybe not shooting the 3 as well because, boy, last year they were unbelievable. Obviously, that can change in a heartbeat. But defensively, those are some of the key areas I'm sure that you're going to be aware of and trying to continue that trend.
We talked about the 3-point shooting yesterday, and the girls were like, don't say that. So hopefully we can continue to help them not shoot the ball well. But, yeah, they aren't shooting 3 very well at all. The point guard's shooting it really well. Yeah. But after that, it's dropped off a little bit, but they do a great job of getting the ball inside and a little unorthodox in how many people can run in there and post up, and they kind of play everybody everywhere, and they just do a really good job.
When you have a big game like this, do you have to worry about maybe tempering down the emotions of your squad, maybe not being too hyped for it, especially when the game is at home a little bit?
Yeah, nope, they definitely get a little more hyped up. So we're talking about matchups and that sort of thing. So considering that as we move forward tomorrow, and just figuring out how we can get them in the best situation and prepare the best that we can to know what we want to run, how we want to defend, and just have an understanding of what's going on so we can be as calm as we can too.
And I know your focus is on tomorrow's game, but then Lincoln here on Saturday afternoon. And, they've been improving under their coach, 3rd or 4th year now, and she's brought in some new talent, some transfers, a D1 transfer in there. They seem to be a program that's playing a little bit better this year than they have maybe in the last couple of years.
Yeah, they play a lot similar to Central Oklahoma as far as they're a little smaller and just really aggressive, really athletic, and get the ball up and down the floor quick, and just trying to get their guards really, really involved.
Well, it should be a fun one tomorrow night, 5:30 for the women. then 7:30 for the men, and then Saturday it'll be a 2 and 4 o'clock traditional doubleheader on a Saturday afternoon. But hope to see a lot of folks out there. Should be a fun atmosphere. I think these games, obviously, a lot of basketball after tomorrow, but they carry a lot of weight for things that could be down the road. It should be a lot of fun, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so. Thinking back to when I played, Central Missouri is one of my favorite games that I played in at home because the men were ranked 1 and 2 in the nation. We were not very good. Central Missouri women were okay, but for whatever reason, we were in the game, and I made a 3, and I could not hear because the crowd was so loud because they were there for the men's game, but they'd gotten there for the end of our game, and it was one of my favorite games I ever played in. So hopefully we can get that atmosphere again tomorrow.
Yeah, great memory. I had over 6,000 for that men's game. I certainly remember. Well, it should be a lot of fun. Hope to see you out at the Coliseum tomorrow night for the Tigers in Central Missouri. Coach, as always, appreciate the time, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Sherd.
There you go. That's Talia Cars, head coach of the Tiger women. 5:30 tomorrow, taking on the Jennies of Central Missouri. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some men's basketball here on Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here. It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM.
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
Here's Hammocky across midcourt, a screen from Jansson. He's double-teamed, dribbles around it, gets to the rim, scores, and is fouled with 1:20 to go. And a chance for a three-point play for Caleb Hammocky. Yeah, that was some of the action from Sunday. Big road win at number 5, Central Oklahoma. Tigers back at home tomorrow night to take on the Mules of Central Missouri. Welcome back into Tiger Talk. It's brought to you in part by Golden Belt Bank. Your life has a story. Golden Belt Bank wants to get to know that story. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis. You can visit them at goldenbeltbank.com. We're going to get the true story today. Associate head coach Jeremy Brown with us on the program. So we're going to get the inside scoop. You're not going to have this coach speak you always get from the head coaches. Now, Jeremy, we appreciate you filling in for Coach Mark Johnson. Congratulations. Great win for your guys. Tough one to come right out of the gate. You have the holiday break, and then you get the number 5 team in the country on their floor, and you fall behind 7-0. It looked like UCO had played a game a couple of nights before, and this was your first one back in a while. But you guys, give them credit, kind of righted the ship, and that was a great basketball game.
Yeah, to start the game, it looked like we'd been on break for a little bit, but give a lot of credit to our guys. They just hung in there. It's a tough place to play. I don't think very many teams are going to go on the road and beat UCO at UCO this year. So our guys just found a way. They kind of hung around. There's a couple times during the game where we fell down, and our guys just kind of rallied back and found a way to make some plays down the stretch and get some stops and hit a couple shots and then sealed it with some big free throws.
Yeah, I mean, they don't draw great crowds, but I mean, the fans they recognize they got a pretty good team, and so, I mean, it's a different atmosphere than it's been in some other years playing down there when there's not many there. I mean, the lower level had a pretty good crowd. They were into the game, and for New Year's Eve afternoon, playing in Edmond, Oklahoma, it was a pretty good atmosphere for everybody.
No, it was, and at the end of the day, you're UCO's talented. They got Jaden Wells, who's a first-team All-MIAA guy, and Caleb not only was really good on the offensive end, but Caleb just followed him around and held him to 2 of 16 from the field and really bothered him and just kind of, got us going on the defensive end. And we had a lot of guys step up and I thought contribute and make some really big plays, especially down the stretch. So everybody who got in was really good for us. And like I said, it was a great way to start the new year. Yeah, no doubt about that. And Wells is just such a dynamic scorer and could do it everywhere. I mean, he shoots the 3. I mean, he took a couple 28-footers, which for some may seem like a bad shot, but he makes those on a consistent basis. But he can drive. I mean, he's a hard guy to defend, and I thought Caleb maybe as good of a defensive game maybe he's ever played. It was. They make it really hard. They're going to set a lot of screens for him, and so you have to constantly fight through screens. And I'll give Caleb a lot of credit. I mean, he just doesn't get tired. I mean, that's a talent. Like, he can go for 40 minutes, and we ask him to do a lot on the offensive end with the ball in his hand. But he also chases around a lot of times the team's best player. And so for him to be able to do that for 40 minutes is just kind of just a reflection of how tough Caleb is. And and what he means to our team.
You look up and down the lineup, as you said, everybody really contributed. I thought Elijah had a really good game. 9 points, 10 rebounds, career high for him, and he hit that mid-range jumper. I think he got 1 3 to drop, and you didn't shoot the threes great, but you hit him at some crucial times in that one.
We did. That's the one thing we're kind of struggling with, and we didn't shoot it great from the three-point line, but once again, our guys just kind of found, when we needed to hit a shot, we did it. And Elijah, kind of like you were saying, he came in and got us 10 rebounds, was really good on the defensive side. And then, we had some guys coming off the bench that were really good for us. Kyle Grill came in, hit a big shot for us in the corner, a three-pointer, was playing physical, was big for us. I think ended with 7 points. Sean Riley came in, and Sean was really good. He ended up with 12 and 6 for us, just gave us a little spark, hit a couple shots down the stretch. I think we were down 1, and he stepped up the line with about 4 or 5 minutes left, and it was a 1-on-1. He stepped up and hit both of them, which was a big. I don't think we gave up the lead after that. No. So 2 big free throws that he hit, and then honestly, the guy who came in and was just really big for us was Jaheim. Jaheim came in, and in the second half, I believe we were down 5 with about 8 minutes left, and he came off a ball screen, made a great pass to Sean for an easy layup to cut it to 3. Very next possession, he comes down, we get a stop. He drives in, makes a tough reverse layup to cut to 1. About a minute later, I think after Sean hit those 2 free throws, we were up 1. It's kind of going back and forth. Jaheim stole the inbounds play, made an incredible read. Stole it, got an uncontested layup to put us up 3, gave us a little bit of breathing room. So he was a big spark, big factor in the reason we were able to hold on and win that game.
It was a big win. First true road win over a top 10 opponent for the Tigers since they beat Central Missouri back in 2010, I think it was, when they were number 1 in the country. Beat them in Warrensburg, that fun game. And it was a big one. And we talked with Coach. The Newman game was obviously a downer going into the break, and you got to find a way to maybe offset that a little bit. And there's a lot of basketball left. I mean, we haven't played a game in January yet. But that was a good bounce-back game from the frustrating loss at Newman.
Yeah, it was. I mean, if you told me we were going to split, obviously we would have liked to beat UCO. So, I think our guys realized in the Newman game, we didn't get a lot of those 50-50 balls. We had a lot of balls fall out of our hands. I don't know if we were quite locked in, and that's not taking anything away from Newman. Newman's a good basketball team. They have one of the better guards in the conference, and Stevie Strong, who can really play. And Newman kind of got hot, and kind of going back and watching the film on that, they hit some tough contested threes, and there's not a lot you can do when guys are hitting those shots. But credit to our guys. We came back. We had a good week of practice, or a good about 4 days of practice, and then went down and beat a good team in UCO.
All right, Tigers got a nice victory, but can't really rest on it. They come right back tomorrow. Central Missouri comes to town, then Lincoln here on Saturday, and get on out and watch, because then they're back on the road. It seems like they've been on the road all year, and they'll be back out after this weekend, but a chance for some home Fort Hays State basketball tomorrow and Saturday. We'll take a preview look at tomorrow night's game with the Mules. I need to remind you that Tiger Talk brought to you in part by the Taco Shop. Whether you order by phone, use their handy app, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery, you've never had it so good. The Taco Shop, they've been a Hays tradition since 1970. We'll take a break. More with men's associate head coach Jeremy Brown right after the break here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PWC.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayspost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, Real Country. 99 KZ Country.
14 seconds on the shot clock. Fort Hays State leading 61-58 over the 5th-ranked Broncos. Hammocky trying to go to work, dribbles around, Turner, jumper, good, he put it in! He put it in over Jalen Turner, and the Tigers lead by 5 with 27 seconds to go. Yeah, big shot, kind of sealed it there from Caleb, offhand over a 6'6 defender and put it in. And Caleb, I think, scored the final 9, was 7 for 7 from the foul line down the stretch, and the Tigers get a big win over Central Oklahoma. Now back at home to take on Central Missouri tomorrow. I need to remind you, Fort Hays State Athletics inviting you to join Tiger fans with a plan. If you're going to drink, always designate a sober driver. And before we talk about Central Missouri, did have a question that was emailed into us, and wanting to know, as the assistant or associate head coach, what are your game day duties? What are you doing on the bench, and just, I guess, the game day operations as the number 2 guy in charge for Fort Hays State basketball?
Trying to keep everybody calm. Trying to keep
How does
everybody.
that go? Particularly with the head coach.
We just make sure that everybody shows up on time. We try to handle all those little things and make sure the players are locked in, focused, kind of understand what everybody's role is, and then as the game time gets closer, we just kind of discuss what we need to do to be successful, but it's we just kind of approach every game the same, and every day everybody understands their role, everybody understands what the responsibility is, and then we go out and take care of business.
Do you have a particular task during the game? Because obviously Mark can't watch everything. I mean, are there certain things you're trying to watch, and just to keep him up to date on just certain things that you watch every game as it unfolds?
We all do. We all have kind of our little roles. I keep fouls, timeouts, officials. Coach Johnson wants to know the officials' names, and so I make sure we're good there. But fouls and some of our set plays, and then obviously during the course of the game, just kind of discussing what we see and what adjustments we need to make. But we all kind of have our little roles on the bench, and make sure we're communicating and making sure everybody's doing what we need to do.
And nice to have Rusty Groffel back. I say back. He first year on the staff, but former Fort Hays State player from Oberlin, and a wealth of experience at the junior college level. He was at Texas Tech for a while. That was a nice addition when Todd decided to get out of coaching.
Yeah, we're excited to have Rusty back, and it's always nice to have a former Tiger back on the coaching staff, and kind of like you said, Rusty's been a little bit of everywhere. He's had head coaching experience, did a great job at Colby Community College, has a lot of good players, and won at a pretty good level there, and then went down to Texas Tech, and obviously they were very successful, and so he has that Division I experience too, and so it's nice just to come back because he knows what our expectations are in our program. It's just nice to have somebody familiar with you. You don't have to explain everything, how we do our drills, our expectations of our players and things like that. So Rusty's been a big positive. It's really nice to have him on the bench, and he probably balances out myself and Coach Johnson a little bit. Sometimes, we maybe need somebody who can be a little bit calmer and relaxed, and I think Rusty's that good voice to be there and keep everything balanced. We're excited to have him on the bench.
So it's your job to keep everybody calm, but what you're telling me, Rusty's the guy who actually gets the job done.
Rusty's the guy. Quite honestly, Gerard, I feel miserably in that, and when I do that. But no, he does a good job for us, and like I said, we're glad to have him.
Well, a lot of our vantage points, we're across from the floor. Now we are at home, and most around the MIAA. There were a few where we're next to the court, next to the bench, and UCO is one of them. It's been a while. I'd kind of forgotten. It can get a little chaotic sometimes, especially in a game like that. It was enjoyable, but there's a lot that goes on in the course of a game. Timing, all that stuff. It's fun to observe.
It can be pretty competitive. I mean, It's intense, and obviously, we're gonna coach our guys on every possession because we expect that they play hard in every possession. So we need to coach them hard every possession. So obviously, we're a pretty competitive staff and a pretty competitive team, and so we're here to win. So it can get a little heated at times, but it's fun, and I know at home games, on away games you have that microphone right by us, and then at home games you have it across the court, and I'm sure you have my two boys in the background probably yelling at the officials at times too. So no matter where you put it, the Brown boys, we're probably yelling in your microphone a little bit too much.
And they are in the game, and that has been really fun. Yeah, they sit pretty close to us. They're banging on the bleachers on free throws. It's fun to watch those two. Yeah, they don't miss much. All right, back at home. That'll be nice. You guys have been on the road a lot this year. Central Missouri, they brought in some players. They brought in a really good coach from Southern Nazarene who had great success down there, and they're 5-5. I think they've been battling some injuries a little bit right now, but a talented team. You're going to have to play well, as you do every game in the MIAA to get this one.
Every game's tough. Every team has good enough players that can go and get their own shots, and they're all going to be talented. He's done a great job. They're a scary team. They can come in here They got a couple guards who can really create their own shots and get them up. So if you let them get going early, it's going to be a little scary. They do a great job on the offensive end. Like you said, he's been really good at Southern Nazarene. They work really hard on offense. Every possession, you're going to be seeing back screens, flare screens, ball screens. And if you're not locked in every possession, it's going to be tough. So our guys got to make sure we're following our rules. We're fighting through screens. We're being physical. We're being tough. And because if you let up, they're going to take advantage of it.
That should be a lot of fun. See you tomorrow night.
Appreciate it, Gerard.
Thank you. That's Associate Head Coach Jeremy Brown. Doubleheader tomorrow, 5:30 for the women, 7:30 for the men. We'll be on the air at 5:05 with the Auto World pregame show. It's going to wrap it up for today. We'll see you next Wednesday. Tiger Talk right here on the Tiger Sports Network. Voice of the Tigers, Gerard Welbrock, inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk Wednesday afternoons at 12:10 on KAYS. The show is part of the weekly Tiger Club meetings live from the Robbins Center on the Fort Hays State campus and brought to you by Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, the Taco Shop, and BTI, your area John Deere dealer. That's Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club Wednesdays at 12:10 on 94.3 FM and 1400 AM KAYS.